CyberHub bunker and studio. You're tuning in to the CyberHub Podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
All right, folks, good morning. Happy Wednesday. It's hump day. I hope you're having a good week. I know it's been a challenging one, obviously, with a lot of things going on. We started this week with Monday this week was not a normal Monday. We're counting down until the holiday season. I know that very soon it's Christmas. I know a lot of people have been working around the clock trying to deal with the unfathomable amount of vulnerabilities and patches we got to take care of. But before we get started on today's podcast, folks, I want to ask you to please subscribe to our podcast. Now, if you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe, turn on the notification bell. If you're listening on your favorite podcast listening platform, please subscribe, give us a 5-star rating. But the most important thing you can do that we value the most is really sharing this show with your friends and colleagues. You can get our entire Practitioner Brief and all of our podcasts on our website at cyberhubpodcast.com. Now, let's get right into today's headlines. We're looking at millions of unpatched IoT and OT devices that are threatening critical infrastructure as we speak. Microsoft launches a quarantine to compromise compromised SolarWinds binaries, and Apple patches a ton of vulnerable code in a macOS massive update that you all should have been doing or have already done. So let's start with the thousands of organizations are at risk from an urgent 11 and CD PON collections of vulnerabilities which affect operational technology gear and Internet of Things, respectively. Unfortunately, there's been a rampant lack of patching, according to researchers. A whopping 97% of the OT devices impacted by the urgent 11 have not been patched, despite fixes being delivered last year, and 80% of those devices affected by CD PON remain unpatched. Expect this to now become rampant now that we're talking about it. Urgent 11 is a collection of 11 different bugs that can affect any connected device leveraging WinRiver's VxWorks. That includes an IPNet stack. You can see all the CVEs on our website at cyberhubpodcast.com. VxWorks is a real-time operational system, ROTS, that third-party hardware manufacturers have embedded in more than 2 billion, folks, 2 billion, that's with a B, devices across the industrial, medical, and enterprise environment. Affected devices include programmable logic controllers from Schneider Electric and Rockwell Automation, which are typically used in production and manufacturing environments to carry out various mission-critical tasks like monitoring, control of physical devices that operate various instruments from motors, valves, pumps, and so much more. More concerning of all, though, is the Urgent 11 includes 6 remote code execution vulnerabilities that could give an attacker full control over a targeted device via an unauthenticated network packet. CD PON itself encompasses 5 critical vulnerabilities, which was discovered in February of this year in the Cisco Discovery Protocol, the info sharing layer that maps all Cisco equipment on a network. The bugs can allow attackers with an existing foothold in the network to break through network segmentation efforts and remotely take over a million of devices. If you haven't patched, please patch now. These are critical vulnerabilities. This alert is really important. These devices control a bunch of different things, and as challenging as this year has been, we don't need some of our OT being taken offline now as well. Microsoft has announced that the Microsoft Defender will begin quarantining compromised SolarWinds Orion binaries starting this morning. Over the weekend, it was revealed that apparently Russian nation-state hackers, I have a different opinion on this. This just doesn't make any sense to me why Russia would do this. There's a bunch of stuff that I saw in the IOCs and TTPs that just don't add up to Russia. Someone's pointing the finger at the Russians, or the Russians had a small part of this, but they weren't the main architect. The malicious binaries were then distributed through SolarWinds auto update mechanism to approximately 18,000 customers, including numerous U.S. government agencies. The threat actors used these malicious binaries to install a backdoor known as SolarWinds or Sunburst. Due to the threat posed by this Trojanized software, Microsoft has announced that as of 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time today, Microsoft Defender will begin to quarantine compromised SolarWinds binaries. According to Microsoft and in a statement, it's important to understand that these binaries represent a significant threat to customer environments. Customers should consider any device with the binary as compromised and should already be investigating devices with this alert. Starting on Wednesday, December 16th at 8 a.m. PST, Microsoft Defender Antivirus will begin blocking the known malicious SolarWinds binaries. This will quarantine the binary even if the process is running. The following steps by Microsoft are suggested. Immediately isolate the affected device. If malicious code has been launched, it is likely that the device is under complete attacker control. Identify the accounts that have been used on the affected device and consider these accounts compromised. Reset passwords or decommission the accounts. Investigate how the affected endpoint might have been compromised. Investigate the device timeline for indications of lateral movement activities using one of the compromised attacks. Check for additional tools that attackers might have dropped to enable credential access, lateral movement, and other attack activities. And another story, Apple patches tens of code execution vulnerabilities in the macOS released yesterday. The macOS patches a total of 59 different vulnerabilities, roughly 30 which could lead to the execution of arbitrary code. An attacker able to exploit the most severe of these issues would execute code within the context of the application with the same privilege as the current users. Some of the bugs Apple explains in its advisory could be exploited to execute code with a system or kernel privileges. macOS Big Sur 11.1 security update for Catalina and security update 2020-007 for Mojave addresses flaws in components such as audio, App Store, Bluetooth, Core Audio, font parser, graphic driver kernel, image I/O, Intel graphics driver, libxml2, Ruby, WebRTC, and Wi-Fi. There's also been updates for tvOS, watchOS to resolve 9 and 10 vulnerabilities in each, and as well as an iOS 14.3 and an iPadOS 14.3, which are meant to fix the arbitrary code execution, memory disclosure, heap corruption, and authentication policy violation flaws. So make sure you update your Mac OS devices as well. Get those done. A lot of patching to do, but I did the patches on my Mac OSs yesterday. It took me 10 minutes, not even. So pretty simple, pretty easy to do, folks. Get it done. A lot of things going on with SolarWinds. Tomorrow I'll be live at 11 a.m. on LinkedIn with my good friend Renee Small, my awesome CISO colleague Naomi Buckwalter, and Chris Fallon, the legend, the man. For our CISO Thursday segment on LinkedIn Live, you should tune in to that. You can go to my LinkedIn page, and I will be sharing the live. You can ask questions. Tune in. We're probably going to be talking about SolarWinds a little bit and attribution and really the mental toll that this takes on people. At 12, I'll be joining the folks over at InfraGard NCR for a panel on SolarWinds. You can register for that through the InfraGard NCR chapter. That'll be at noon Eastern tomorrow. And the LinkedIn Live will be at 11 a.m. Eastern. So tune into that. Our final tech corner for the year will be live on Friday, and joining me is one of my favorite people in the whole wide world, Jacqueline Jane. JJ, we're going to be talking about holiday tips, how to keep your family safe during this holiday season, an unusual one, but some stuff where there's about 15 minutes of gold in there that I'll be breaking apart and posting as well, so you can share it with your friends and family as well. And that's it for today. We'll be back with more to wrap up this crazy, hectic week tomorrow. Until then, thanks so much for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Please make sure to subscribe, and we'll be back with more then. Until then, stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on media to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.